Namaste, namaste, and welcome to this yin practice for autumn. So today I'm just going to take you through a few poses in the yin vein that are appropriate in autumn. In autumn, we focus mostly on the lung and lower intestine meridians. So the lung meridian starts in the pectoral muscle and runs down the front of the inside of the arm to the thumb. And then the lower intestine meridian starts from the first finger, in most people, up the back of the arm and around the back of the shoulder, through the neck and into the opposite nostril. So you can imagine that in autumn, lots of poses with the arms are used because those stimulate those meridians. But because we also sometimes transition from late summer, which the meridians for late summer are mostly in the legs, into autumn, it can be useful to do a few things that encourage some movement through the legs as well, or some emphasis on the legs as well. So I'm going to start today with a side opener, which also sort of promotes this lovely space across the lungs. And I've got a few bits of equipment to help me here. So I've got a bolster. You could use, if you don't have a bolster, and you plan to do lots of yin, I'd definitely invest. They're well worth it. Something that is filled with buckwheat rather than foam or cotton, because they mold to your body better, is my recommendation. And they're also pretty heavy, which is quite good. So bolster, if you don't have one, you can take a large water bottle and wrap a pillow around it, and you get a similar sort of effect. Or you might just have a really firm pillow with some yoga blocks underneath, which might also offer you the same support. I've got a cushion, which I hope everyone has. And I've got 2 yoga blocks here, which I might only use one of them, but they're there just in case I need them. It's always better to have your equipment to hand with yin so that you've got it easily accessible. And the other thing that you might like is a blanket. I've got mine here. I'm not going to use one, but if you are already cool in autumn, we try not to let the body get too cold. So in yin yoga, might cool down just a little bit. So having a blanket to hand if you would like one. So we're going to start in yin. We don't need to warm up. The purpose of the postures is to put the body into a shape and then allow stillness and softness and hold it for a sustained period of time. So those are the principles of yin. I'm going to start with my knees bent in front of me, but just a little bit out to the side. If that's not comfortable for you, I'll talk about different options for the legs in a moment. My bolster is as close to the right side of my body as it can be. And I'm going to lean down over it so that the side of my body is supported, the side of my rib cage. I can take my lovely pillow and pop it underneath my head on top of my extended right arm. So the right arm here, it's really up to you with your shoulders where you want to put it, but I've got my palm turned upwards so I can open that lung meridian. And then my other arm, I can reach it over if I would like to, and just sort of drape it towards the floor. It could maybe rest on the side of my head. Or if that doesn't feel comfortable, I might just have it in front of me, somewhere on the bolster or to my side. I usually find I'm most comfortable with the arm extended. And once you're here, you get a few moments just to settle yourself. If you find that this position of the legs just doesn't suit you at all, you can in fact extend the legs slightly away. It changes the sort of emphasis of the pose. You might want to keep the bottom leg, the right leg, bent a little bit, but maybe extend the left leg. And then you get real sense of space down the left side of the body. wherever you end up, there's no right or wrong position. Just trying to find a place that really works for you. So wherever you end up, we're going to rest and hold here for about 10 deep breaths. You don't need to count. I'll do the counting. There'll be 10 of my breaths, so it'll be quite a long hold. And you can close your eyes or gaze gently downwards, trying to soften as much effort as you can from holding in the posture. So relaxing the face, the shoulders, relaxing across the legs. You might like to focus on breathing into that left side of the body. Also feeling the effect of breathing against the bolster. Relax your face. Try to hold in stillness. At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to move. Taking the left arm back to a more neutral spot if it's been reached over the head. Maybe sliding the legs in if they've been extended long. Just firming slightly across the belly so that you can ease your head away from your cushion and bring yourself slowly back up to an upright position. And then trying to unwind gently so you feel the effects, the sensations in the body, the effects of the posture. You might take a neutral position, sitting or kneeling, and just allow that sense of effect to be noticeable. Give yourself the opportunity. In whatever rebound pose you've chosen, you can take a few soft breaths. And when you're ready, you can do the same thing to the other side. So we're taking that bolster and placing it on the left-hand side of the body, getting it close up against the body, getting our cushion prepared. So here we're lying over the bolster so that the left side of the body feels the effect of that contact, and reaching the left arm away so that we can rest the head on the cushion. And then here you might like to explore different positions for your legs. Maybe you want to extend the legs slightly or more if that doesn't suit your legs to be curled up. It's really entirely up to you. You might do this differently on this side. So in yin, we don't have to do mirror images of the posture that we did on the first side, on the second side. You find your way. So you just have a different, two sides of the body are different. It might be a different place to find properly supportive. And then you can explore positions of the arms, maybe reaching the left arm over the head and just finding somewhere for it to rest, either maybe the upper arm against the the right arm over the head, the right arm against the right ear, or perhaps resting your arm down to your side or in front of the body, just making sure it's supported wherever it happens to go. And then once you've got the posture that feels right to you, it doesn't have to be super comfortable, but we want to be able to hold it for those 10 deep breaths. So first principle is to relax all the effort that it took to get here, softening perhaps the face, the arms, the belly muscles, muscles in the legs. And then finding stillness and breathing deeply into that right-hand side of the body, feeling the space there. Feeling that contact between the left side of the body and the bolster and the floor. Closing your eyes if you haven't already done so, or if you feel comfortable practicing that way. Keeping them open if that is what you prefer. At the end of your next exhalation, preparing to move, drawing the right arm back to a more neutral spot, maybe firming gently across the belly muscles, drawing the knees in towards the bolster if the legs have been extended. Then just using some gentle effort to come back to an upright position. And as you do so, you might like to sit in a neutral spot. Could be kneeling. You could be sitting, however feels like the right place for you, and give yourself an opportunity to feel the effect of your work, or your lack of work, as the case may be. When we practice yin, for those of us who have busy minds and busy lives, sometimes yin is very challenging because of the stillness. in autumn, it can counterbalance the real fluctuation in the energy around us by creating this still groundedness, which is how it balances out the energy of the season if that is overwhelming. But in yin, we can observe our reactions to postures. It's quite an interesting thing to do whilst holding. So observing if your breath is the same. I noticed that my breath was different on one side than the other. Notice the sorts of thoughts that come into your mind or the sorts of emotions you're feeling. If you're feeling frustrated or impatient or irritated, perhaps just surrender to that and allow it to be. You might find that it dissipates and then you can find a deeper sense of calm. So let us move on to our next posture. So this posture is, I always want to call it broken wings, but I don't honestly know if that is what it's called. So please excuse me, but I call it broken wings. We'll just go with it. So I'm going to pop my bolster to one side. I will need it, but not for this pose. And we come into this from lying on the front. And I will actually be lying with my face away from you, but it's so that you can see the position of the body better. So we're lying on the front, and you can start by simply grounding by taking the forehead onto the back of the hands, turning the toes in and the heels out, and just giving yourself a moment to come into this position. Allow the spine to find its shape against the floor. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths. When you're ready from here, we're going to extend the right arm out to the right. I see that I'm going to have to move ever so slightly to remain on the screen. So right arm extended to the right. I've got my palm facing down this time. And then from here, I'm going to roll my body to look towards the left so that I reach the left foot, perhaps slightly behind the body. I can take my head to the floor. If you need support underneath your head, please do put a soft block or cushion underneath your head. If your head naturally comes to the floor, then that's great. So we're trying to roll the body away from the floor, looking towards the left with the right arm extended underneath us and behind us. And here you can roll to wherever feels good. So if you are able to roll a little bit further, if it feels okay on that right shoulder, you can. You can even reach the left arm behind you. And some people will be able to bring the arms together. I wouldn't hold in that position for too long, but if you want to try opening the chest in that way, that's great. I like to leave my left fingertips on the floor in front of me to help just ease myself into that posture. Then you can step your left foot as far round behind, over the body to the right as you like, keeping the right leg extended. If you wish to hold and you feel that's not so stable, the right knee can bend and that can help you to feel stable in this pose. We want the neck to be quite passive here, so no tension in the neck, no effort across the shoulders. Try to relax the shoulders. Relax the face and find a long deep breath. We're going to hold here only for 5 long deep breaths. Notice how the breath feels different with the body in this position. At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to move, We're going to lengthen any legs that were, any right legs that were bent, and just roll slowly back towards the floor. As you come back towards the floor, we take the left forearm underneath, or left hand underneath the forehead, and just spend a moment. The right arm is still extended to the right. Just allow a moment to unwind the spine. And then when you're ready, you can bend your right arm at the elbow so that you've got a right angle here between the upper arm and the lower arm. And then we do the same thing again. So this will feel differently. Find your way gently in. If you found the first practice quite intense, this might be better if you rest just in that head on the back of the hands position. But for those who are keen, we can again look to the left and roll to the left, try to reach the left foot behind us. You might roll slightly less far this time. You might need to organize yourself differently. So just taking a moment to do that, and then we will hold 4, 5 deep breaths. Fewer if you find it too intense. Soften your effort, soften your face. Notice how different the breath is here, if it is different. And then gently, as you exhale, unwinding yourself back to the mat. And this time we can bring the right hand and the left hand underneath the forehead and rest in the center. Just giving the hips perhaps a little gentle movement if that feels good. And a few softening breaths here. You can sigh out through your mouth to let go of anything that's come up as a result of that practice. So it's a nice, easy way to do an emotional release, a sigh. Very good. Giving yourself a few more moments if you need it. And then I'm just shifting back onto my mat and I'm reaching for my bolster because we're going to do a variation of seal pose. Sphinx pose first. So Sphinx pose, we have the body front down onto the mat. So we've got the tops of the legs, the tops of the feet, and perhaps the bottom of the rib cage, even the abdomen, the front of the pelvis, all nestled into the mat, and the elbows underneath the shoulders, or slightly further forward if it's too intense to have them underneath the shoulders. So wherever you are, just sort of propping yourself, we want to just arrive here. We don't need to make a huge amount of effort. This isn't a yang posture. So this isn't Sphinx pose the way that we used to doing it, where we press into the mat and we hold ourselves away from the mat. We just arrive in this shape and see if we can nestle ourselves towards the floor. And make sure that it feels okay in your low back. As I say, if you need to give yourself a bit more space, just bring your elbows slightly further forward. So you still have that propped up feeling, but you're not quite as high. Perhaps you don't feel it into your low back quite as much. We're all different. Find what feels good. And here, allow your head to find wherever feels good for it as well. So you might want your head further forward if it feels like you're not hanging onto it with your upper back. Might want to be quite neutral. Wherever you get to, we're just holding for 5 deep breaths, softening as much effort as you can. Remember, we're not trying or forcing in this posture, we're simply being in the shape. Deep breaths. to 5 breaths. If you wish to practice seal pose, it's like a version of cobra. You can bring your hands back towards you and press your arms a little bit straighter to lift yourself into a more upright back bend. Again, softening the effort, just holding wherever you are, keeping the head in a nice neutral position that feels good for your neck and shoulders, and holding for 5 breaths. If this is not for you, just keep doing Sphinx for another 5 breaths. Really hard to switch off the effort in this pose. Try if you can. And when you're ready, you can slowly fold yourself down to the mat. Maybe making a pillow out of your hands, resting the forehead straight down or turning the head to one side. Allow your toes to fall inwards, the heels to fall outwards. Feel the effect of your practice. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths in and sigh out through the mouth. As you sigh, allow the body to surrender towards the floor. When you're ready, you can bring yourself up again. Now, I did get the bolster ready, but I'm going to do a different variation of what we've just done with the bolster after our second side of broken wings. So let me pop it to one side and reach the left arm out to the left from lying down on the front, looking to the right, rolling to the right, and just taking the left foot behind, no, the right foot behind you. Right hand, sorry, can be in front of the body. And wherever you get to, nestling yourself into the floor. The left palm is turned down towards the floor. Fingers and thumbs spread so that you can really lengthen into those energetic channels, or you can create space there. If you need something underneath your head, by all means. And then here you might like to bend your underneath leg just to give yourself a little bit of more support so you don't fall back the way. But if you're happy with it extended, you can simply be with it extended. You can reach that top leg, the right leg, as far back as feels comfortable, or your bolster gives you room for. Or you can keep it closer to the body. And for those who are super open in the shoulders, you might like to reach the right hand back to join with the left hand behind the body or in that general direction. I find that's a little bit too much for my shoulders. So wherever you get to, closing your eyes, you can. And we're simply going to take 5 deep breaths. We want to relax as much effort as possible. So try to let your body soften into the floor. If you're familiar with Yujai, you might automatically do Yujai in these poses. That's okay. At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to move, you can extend the left leg long if you've had it bent and just roll roll gently back to facing the floor, placing the right hand underneath the forehead and allowing the forehead to rest heavily down. Keep your left arm out to the left. Just take a moment here to release any big tensions. Yin yoga is not restorative yoga. So restorative yoga is where you're put into positions, you put the body into positions held by wonderful props, and it's super comfortable and you relax completely. In yin yoga, often the poses are quite intense, not necessarily comfortable, but effective. So this is one of those for sure for me. Bending the left arm at the elbow so that you have a right angle between the forearm and the upper arm, and then we gently roll back into that position. So this is my really stiff side. I find this quite the challenge. You might go a little further than I do, and that is fine too. We're all of us different. We're holding for 5 deep breaths. It's doubly challenging to release into the floor when it is an intense feeling. At the end of your next exhalation, just gently unwinding the body in any way that feels good. Maybe placing both hands now underneath the head to create a pillow. And just softly allow your breath to return to normal. Maybe sighing out through the mouth a couple of times if that has brought up things that you would like to release. Or you feel that sighing is a natural thing for you to do, which it will be if you have things to release. When you're ready, gently prop yourself up a little bit. We're going to take our bolsters. We're just trying to move quite easily, naturally, from one posture to the next. Want to have the bolster underneath the chin here. So the front of the body is supported. You can rest your arms over it or around it, depending on where it feels comfortable for you. So here, the rest of the body is very passive. And because the head is supported, you might find that this is quite comfy. And we're just going to hold here for a few deep breaths, maybe a few more than 5. Close your eyes if you feel able to do so. Soften all your effort. At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to adjust this pose. So here we're going to draw ourselves a little further up so we can place the bolster underneath the rib cage. And depending on how bendy your back feels or how it is naturally, depends on how low that bolster might go. And we're simply reaching the arms over the top. So here, allowing the head to be in a neutral position, but because the head is not supported, we're not holding for more than 5 deep breaths. Relax all of your efforts. Just allow the body to soften here. I kind of have to have this bolster either above or below my chest, my bosoms. So if you want it higher up, then that is all fine. Just go with where your body naturally fits to the support. At the end of your next exhalation, gently preparing to move. So sliding the hands back towards you, a little firmness across the belly muscles. Bring yourself onto hands and knees. And we can use the bolster for a little child's pose by just turning it around, placing it between the thighs and lying ourselves over the bolster, maybe turning your head to one side if that feels comfy. And this is just a rebound pose, so we're not holding for a great deal of time, but we want to give the body an opportunity to come into rebound shape. And then from here, we're going to do a posture called broken branches. So for broken branches, we need a block and a bolster. You can do this with a rolled blanket instead of a bolster. If you've got like really big swimming towels or something like that, beach towels, a couple of those rolled will provide a really nice firm support underneath the body. Here, I'm just going to move the support a little bit further forward. We want to put the block down quite a distance from the end of the bolster itself because we want room for our arms to move underneath the body. We're going to make this shape against the floor. So the bolster supports us to about the upper chest, to middle of the chest, and then we've got room to put the arms underneath the body and rest the forehead onto the block. So coming to lying down on your support, bolster or similar. And you might want to just check that as you put your forehead down, the block's right underneath it. You don't want to be like only supporting a bit of the head. You want to have quite a lot of the forehead on the block. And for those of you who have bosoms, you might want to part them slightly side to side. And then we're going to soften the tops of the feet to the floor and just slide the right arm on top of the left arm in front of the body. Adjust yourself in any way that feels good. We can hold on to the opposite shoulders first and see if you can inch the elbows a little further to the opposite sides. When you get as far as you think you can go, just holding onto your shoulders or the outside of your body, allow yourself to arrive here, softening the effort, making any final adjustments. And then relax the hands. So the backs of the hands come to the floor, the backs of the arms to the floor as well. Allow your whole body to surrender here. Soften your face. Let go of any holding or tension. And here we're holding for 10 deep breaths. No need to count. Observe the different pattern of breath in the body. Soften your tension, your effort, if it begins to creep back into the body. Preparing to move at the end of your next exhalation, sliding the arms back to their original sides of the body, taking the hands to support the body as you gently bring yourself back into another child's pose. So this time turning your head to the opposite side, allowing the body just to soften here for a moment. Feel the effect of your practice. So feel where you have had contact with another body part or a block or a bolster. Feel that sense of expanding lightness or warmth or coolness and warmth at the same time as you release that contact. Sigh out anything which has come up. Take one more gentle deep breath in and out. When you're ready, bringing yourself back onto all fours, and we're preparing to do the other side of our broken branches. So here we're coming back into the same position, but this time the left arm is on top of the right arm. We're going to ease the elbows as far to the opposite side as possible, resting the forehead firmly down. So we don't have to press it down, but make sure support is there. Hold onto your upper arms or the sides of your body and take a few moments to arrive here. You might need to separate your feet a little or get yourself just centered on your support. And then when you've arrived, you can allow the backs of the hands to be heavy into the floor and the backs of the arms as well. And then observing your deep, deep breath, creating a sense of softening and surrendering down, even through the forehead, through the tops of the shoulders, the back of the body, the fronts of the legs. Then we'll hold for 10 deep breaths. Or about 2 minutes if you prefer to time. Notice if your posture feels different on this side. You don't have to do anything about that, but just observe the differences between the two sides of the body.
At the end of your next exhalation, just preparing to move. Maybe just a gentle firmness across the belly muscles and sliding the hands back to their original size. And then supporting the body to come back into hands and knees. And from here, we're going to do a really gentle downward dog for those who would like to. But if you prefer hands and knees, it's just fine, or take child's pose over the bolster as we did before. So if you're doing gentle hands and down dog, we just keep the knees really bent, resting the forehead on the bolster, or the crown of the head perhaps, or towards the crown of the head. And just pressing it into the arms, press the fingertips into the floor. And then once you get into the posture, make any gentle movements that feel good. So you might like to gently move the hips from side to side. You might like to simply hold in stillness if you prefer. By keeping the knees soft, you take the strain out of this, but if you prefer to practice with the legs a little bit longer, that's no problem at all. When you're ready, gently releasing back down to the mat, and we are going to move ourselves into a relaxation pose for a final relaxation. So people think that with yin yoga you don't need to do relaxation because you've been still and quiet throughout the practice, but you do. You still need that relaxation. So just perhaps you don't need to do as long a relaxation. Personally, I enjoy yin with quite an extended relaxation usually. However, today we'll aim to do around about 5 minutes or so. So making sure that you're nice and cozy. You might have felt yourself cool down as we practiced. And I've got the bolster underneath my knees, but I first come down to the mat with the feet on the floor and take what is called constructive rest. So knees bent, feet on the floor, and then arms can be wherever feels comfortable, slightly away from the body, with the palms turned upwards is nice. You might like to rest your hands on your abdomen if you prefer. Take a moment in constructive rest. This is a rebound pose, to allow the spine to find its natural shape against the floor in this pose. We have not had the back of the body on the floor through this practice, except the back of the arms. So here, surrender the weight of the head down. Feel that sense of contact across the shoulder blades, the expanse of the back of the pelvis, and the soles of the feet. Feel that you are held, you're supported, able to let go of any last vestiges of effort or anything that has arisen as a result of your practice. It's quite common in yin for things to come up, as it provides us with such an opportunity for introspection, for observing and noticing. Here we're going to take a deep breath in and sigh out gently through the mouth. When you're ready, you can extend your legs if you'd like to into a full shavasana. You can maintain constructive rest if you prefer. Again, a long deep breath in and sigh gently out through the mouth. We're just going to do one more breath like that, surrendering your weight into the floor, letting go of all of the effort of practice. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm and fall into quietness.
Feel your forehead softening, the space between the eyebrows spreading, separating. The area around the eyes relaxing. The mouth, tongue, and jaw releasing. Feel the whole body a little heavy, warm, supported, softening down. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath. Allow yourself to soften a little deeper with every exhalation. Om. Gently begin to deepen your breath and bring movement back into your hands and your feet by wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe rolling wrists and ankles. When you feel ready, you can take a deep breath in and stretch the body in any way that feels good, maybe stretching the mouth in a yawn, or the face in a yawn. Ah. You might like to bring your feet onto the top of your bolster or back to the floor and simply move your head from side to side. Nice gentle neck rolls, maybe you're moving the knees in the opposite direction as you go. You can hold your knees into your chest and do this as well, if you choose. When you're ready, rolling to one side and just curling up for a moment, allowing your body to come round a little bit at a time. In your own time, coming into any comfortable upright position, doesn't matter what it is, keeping the eyes gently closed and bringing your palms together at the center of your chest. Take this moment just to thank yourself for giving the time, the space, the compassion, and the nurture of this yin practice. When you're ready, you can bow your chin gently towards your chest and smile softly to yourself. Smile of gratitude. And when you're ready, raising your head and opening your eyes. I hope you enjoyed this practice, and I hope that you'll come back and use it again. There are other yin practices available on this channel too. I'll see you again soon. Namaste.